And hello again, everybody. This is Michael Dempsey for HorseBettingWorld.com. It's Monday evening, April 11th, and I'm going to take a look at my top 10 Derby contenders. So far, we had quite a weekend. The Kentucky Derby Trail hit a few potholes over the weekend. Premier, Pegasus, and Jay Cito were both scratched out of the Santa Anita Derby due to injuries. To Honor and Serve is now off the Derby Trail, and of course, Uncle Mo was a disappointing third in Saturday's Wood Memorial at Aqueduct. Jay Cito was scratched due to a sore foot, but he is still on the Kentucky Derby Trail. Trainer Bob Baffert announced that his final prep is going to come in the Coolmore Lexington Stakes on April 23rd. That gives him just a 2-week break until the first Saturday of May. There are two key Kentucky Derby prep races to bet on this weekend: the $1 million Arkansas Derby at Oaklawn Park, and also the $750,000 Toyota Bluegrass from Keeneland. Now, a quick take a look at my top 10 list. It certainly changed a lot this week. New to the list at number 10 is Astrology. This colt's new mainly because we need to find a runner or two that looks like he may have some upside and could jump into the Derby picture after some key preps this Saturday. The Steve Asmussen trainee goes Saturday in the Arkansas Derby. His last start was a runner-up finish in the Sunland Derby, where he was beaten 1.5 lengths by Twice the Appeal, the former $30,000 maiden claimer. The race was really on the weak side, and he needs to move forward in his second start of the year. He ran a good second to Santiva in last fall's Kentucky Jockey Club at Churchill Downs. So we'll stick Astrology in at number 10. Number 9 is Pants on Fire, game winner of the Louisiana Derby at 6-1. The colt is going to have to win the Derby off a 6-week layoff, which hasn't been accomplished in over 5 decades. However, in this day and age, less seems to be more on the Derby Trail, and we used to think a 4 or 5 week break was too much. So I think Pants on Fire makes the list. Number 8 is Jay Cito. I hate to see horses have blips along the way, but I'm going to keep Jay Cito in my top 10 list, mainly because of the connections of Bob Baffert. He was scratched out of the Santa Anita Derby on Saturday due to a sore foot. He was back on the track on Monday morning, and it seems like everything's fine, and he's going to make his final prep in the Coolmore Lexington Stakes on April 23rd. That means just a 2-week break before the Derby. Not exactly the path you want to take to try to win the Kentucky Derby, but his lone start this year was a runner-up finish to Premier Pegasus in the San Felipe. Number 7 on the list is Mucho Macho Man. He's the Risen Star winner. He lost a shoe in his final prep in the Louisiana Derby. Still only beaten 3/4 of a length in a third-place finish. He beat Santiva in the Risen Star, and that effort could be flattered this Saturday when Santiva comes back to run in the Bluegrass at Keeneland. I still think this colt seems more likely to finish 3rd or 4th in the Derby, and I just really can't see him winning it, but he certainly has been consistent and deserves to be in the top 10 list. Number 6 on the list is Elite Alex, who goes this weekend. He's only got $65,000 in graded earnings, which means that he's going to have to finish 1st or 2nd in the Arkansas Derby to really make it to Louisville. Really, he needs to win. The runner-up spot should put him in, but it's going to be close, so that'll probably stick him around 18th or 19th, depending on how many defections we get over the next couple of weeks. But a 2nd-place finish he's probably in, but not a sure thing. The colt has just 4 starts under his belt, and while some of the main contenders have misfired in their last Derby preps, at least this guy's got one more shot to see what he's got. He had a really wide trip last out, and I think this colt, with just 4 starts, still has plenty of upside. I like his trainer, Tim Ritchie, and I certainly like his pedigree as well. Number 5 on the list is Uncle Mo, who dropped from number 2. I couldn't find one handicapper, public handicapper, that picked someone other than Uncle Mo, other than myself. I don't want to toot my own horn, but everyone was on Uncle Mo, even though we knew he was going to go off at 1-9, which was a little bit surprising to me. The colt had an easy lead, turned for home just when you thought he was going to fire and pull away from the field. He really just ran out of gas. He didn't put up much of a fight in the final furlong either. He definitely looked short, and I really think Todd Pletcher's kind of coddling this horse. He's only had 2 starts this year. Neither one have been overly impressive or anywhere close to his efforts he put in his 2-year-old campaign. I just didn't see anything on Saturday to indicate that he's going to bounce back in 4 weeks and win the Kentucky Derby. Number 4 on the list is Toby's Corner, and a welcome back to Toby. He was number 6 on my list after winning the Whirlaway back on February 5th, and then I dumped him after he checked in 3rd in the Gotham. I picked him on top in both of those races, and I made it a hat trick when I backed him to beat Uncle Mo on Saturday. We got back $19.40. The colt has been kind of my bankroll, and I can't think of a nicer guy or a better trainer than Graham Motion. Graham Motion looks like he's going to be set to go in the Kentucky Derby. He's also got Animal Kingdom, who might get in too, and he looks like a pretty good colt as well. Number 3 on the list is The Factor. I'm not convinced this colt really wants 1.25 miles, but he did pass his first test around 2 turns when he won the Rebel at Oaklawn Park in fine fashion. He gets a truer test this Saturday going 9 furlongs in the Arkansas Derby at Oaklawn Park, and with Hall of Fame trimmer Bob Baffert calling the shots, in fact, we shouldn't underestimate his chances. Any horse can get a mile and a quarter, just how fast they can get it, and the way the horses seem to be dropping right and left. This 3-year-old crop, I said back in February, I thought was going to be a really strong crop, and they seem to be dropping off. No one seems to be really stepping up, so that might make for a horse like the Factor maybe to be able to stretch his light pedigree mile and a quarter on the first Saturday in May. So he's number 3 on my list. Number 2 on my list is Santiva, and this colt keeps creeping up the list, not because of what he's doing, but mainly because of what others are not doing, and that's really putting in impressive Derby preps. He was the runner-up in the Risen Star on February 19th. He makes his final Derby prep this Saturday over the Polytrack in the Toyota Bluegrass. The colt is 18th on the graded earnings list and needs to pick up a check to make sure he gets into the Derby field. I'm not in love with having his final prep over Polytrack, although Patio Prado did pretty well last year. But he did win the Kentucky Jockey Club over the Churchill Downs main track last fall, so we know he likes the Churchill Downs surface. He has now drifted up to number 2 on my list, mainly because everyone else just seems to be faltering. And number 1, again on my list, is Dialed In. Last week's happenings on the Derby Trail did nothing but solidify his spot here at number 1. The Nick Zito trainee is likely going to go into the Run for the Roses as the morning line favorite at this point off his Florida Derby win, unless we see something spectacular this weekend, which certainly doesn't seem like that's going to happen, although we could see a horse like Elite Alex jump up and run huge in the Arkansas Derby. I don't think no matter what anybody does in the Toyota Bluegrass over Polytrack, that's going to jump him ahead of Dialed In, at least in the betting. So I think Dialed In's pretty certainly going to be the morning line favorite for the Kentucky Derby, and he's going to be closing from near the back of the pack, which might make him a vulnerable favorite on Derby Day, but he certainly should be and is a well-deserving number 1 on this week's Kentucky Derby Top 10 list. So that's the Top 10 list. Don't forget, coming up this weekend on Friday, we'll have previews at horsebettingworld.com of the 2 big prep races, the Toyota Bluegrass and the Arkansas Derby. I have my full card selections for both Keeneland and Aqueduct on a daily basis, and also don't forget to check us out both on Twitter and on Facebook. Have a great week, and we'll talk at you on Friday.